public meeting, so please.
I interrupted you. I'm sorry.
No, that's fine. Well, thanks everyone for joining our December meeting for the Safe, Sustainable, and Equitable Transportation Committee for ANC 3C. I am Swale Siddiqui, and I chair the committee, and I see that there's two other commissioners here, Commissioner Finley and Commissioner Paggets. I will be putting the minutes and the agenda in the chat for everyone to see. So if you're interested in a particular issue, I would say that there's the issue regarding Porter Street that Commissioner Finley will talk about. That's probably our longest discussion. So the other ones are relatively short, and we should be able to get to that one pretty soon, even though it's third on the agenda. As we go through, I will introduce the issue and I will pass it on to any commissioners that would like to talk more about it. And then we will have comments from the community. And then we can have a little bit more discussion. One thing to remember about this meeting is no decisions are made at this meeting. This meeting is to start a discussion and then hopefully come up with next steps where decisions can be made at a future ANC meeting. The community and other commissioners will also have a chance to add other agenda items as we move through the agenda. So if you do have other items to discuss, you no need to talk about them right now. We can wait until the meeting goes on. Are there any questions from anyone about the meeting or anything else?
Yeah, how do folks ask questions?
Thank you, Commissioner Finley. If you have a question, you may raise your hand in the Zoom, which is the raise hand function. So if you go to reactions, click on reactions, and then there's a raise hand feature. The other way you may ask a question is you may type in the chat your question, or you may type in the chat, I would like to ask a question or make a comment. And then when it comes your turn, I will hopefully get around to allowing you to speak. And I think we have a smallish group right now. So I also don't mind if we say, okay, we're opening to questions, if people speak. The only request I have is to allow commissioners to comment and question before we go to the community, just to keep it a little bit organized. Thank you, Commissioner Finley. Any other questions or comments? Okay, wonderful. So the agenda is in the chat, and I will go ahead and share my screen so that everyone can see my screen, and I will try and take minutes as we go along. So the first item on the agenda is the restoration of the L1 bus line. So as a background, we've discussed this before and in this committee, and the idea being that, and it was kind of parallel to when the COVID-19 sort of pandemic hit, the L1 bus line was discontinued. And there's been a good amount of support from the community to bring the L1 bus line back. The issue was that we've been talking about the best strategy to do this. And last we spoke, one of the strategies was that I would reach out to WMATA, which is actually, I don't know, I don't want to spell it out, the Washington Metropolitan Area Transit Authority. I did that right. To ask them what's the best way to advocate for this, and what they recommended was that the public engagement for the FY23 budget will start sometime around January and March. And so they suggested that our ANC send a resolution, try and convince other ANCs to also write resolutions, and then also try and convince our council member for support as well. So, which is good. Like, now we have a path forward. Previously, we were just sort of requesting and nothing was happening. But now we at least know that if we request this in the budget, there's a chance that this will come back. So I think what I will be doing is I will be reaching out to some community members regarding who are interested in doing this, and asking and starting a petition that we can hopefully get signatures on. And I will also be introducing a resolution for vote in our January ANC meeting that is going to be regarding restoration of the L1 bus line. And I hesitate to say this, but I don't think this will be too controversial for our community. But at the same time, we'll have plenty of chances for commissioners and the community for feedback on the resolution and other things. So I'll pause there, see if Commissioner Paggets or Commissioner Finley, if either of you have any comments or questions.
I do not. Thank you, Chair Siddiqui.
Nope, sounds good to me.
Okay, thank you. I will also now pause and see if any of the community members have any questions or comments that they would like to make about this. you're welcome again to raise your hand or type in the chat or unmute yourself and speak. Okay, wonderful. Since we are at this meeting right now, let me just go ahead and just take some notes for my sake. So Commissioner Figi will introduce a resolution for vote at our January meeting to reinstate L1. Also start a petition for signatures. And since we have everyone here, is there anyone interested in signing this petition? And so if so, please go ahead and type your name in the chat or just type yes in the chat, and then I will record that. So that way I know that at least we have some signatures over here for restoring the L1 bus. Perfect, Hannah and Madeline, thank you. Thank you, Alyssa. Thank you, Nadine. Awesome, thank you, Cassandra. Wonderful. And Commissioner Finley, I believe the chat is also saved, so I don't need to
Yes,
copy these right
it
now.
is. Yeah.
Thank you all so much. I appreciate the support. Okay, awesome. The next agenda item, if there are no more questions or comments, was regarding bus ETA. So I received a comment from Naihua Adwan, who lives in our community, and he was talking about improvements to the bus ETA system. For those that don't know, the bus ETA system is a way that you can get real-time tracking for when the bus is arriving. So if any of you ride the buses in DC, some third-party apps also use it. I've used it as well. I find for me personally, I normally take either the L2 line, north-south, or I take sort of the east-west lines, which the H4 or the H2. And so for those ones, I tend to find that it works maybe 90% of the time. Other times it doesn't work, but some other people might have other experiences. But NIWA is very interested in having us advocate for a better bus ETA system. And so I think what I want to do is I wanted to introduce kind of this idea, and hopefully NIWA can take the lead in figuring out the best way to advocate for this. It might be that we also sort of roll this in when we have any budget discussions as well. But I did want to open it up to the commissioners and then the community members if they've had any experience with bus ETA and if they have any comments about this.
I use the L2 too. I would start with a better bus schedule and advocating for that, because either show up all three at the same time, or one and then 45 minutes later, with remarkable inconsistency being the only consistency. But yeah, I forget which app I actually use for the bus now that I'm thinking about it, but it works pretty well in my opinion. It's just that the schedule doesn't.
Is there anyone from the community who would like to comment on bus ETA or their experience with it? If so, please go ahead, type in the chat or raise your hand, or please feel free to unmute and speak. And I believe Commissioner McWood has also joined us. So Commissioner McWood, we're just going down the agenda, and if you have any questions or comments about the bus ETA system, please feel free to comment. Okay. Wonderful. So I believe this is just introducing an issue, and I will take this back to Naiwa, and then Naiwa might come back with some next steps for us, since he cares a lot about this issue, and we can see how we can support that. Wonderful. So next on the agenda are safety improvements for Porter Street, the intersection of Porter Street Northwest and Williamsburg Lane Northwest. And Commissioner Finley, I believe I want to pass this on to you, if that's okay. And
sounds good.
Please let me know I will stop sharing my screen if you would like to share, or if you would like to just speak without a screen share.
I'm okay with a screen share. If you're going to keep minutes or notes, that would be great. But I can also contribute to it later if need be. So there have been two pretty bad accidents that I'm aware of this year at Williamsburg and Porter in the crosswalk. I believe both on the south side of Porter. So eastbound traffic coming down the steep hill from Connecticut or Quebec. And I think Hannah, if you want to speak to this after I talk a little bit more about it, I'd appreciate that. And Tara, you too, please. And Madeline as well. So pretty much everybody's familiar with Porter. It starts coming down from Connecticut and it continues until it sort of transitions into Klingle Road. It's got about a 7% grade going from Quebec down to 2501 Porter. That evens out a little bit. And so it causes a lot of eastbound speeding. Now, meanwhile, on the other side of it from Klingle, coming down from Adams Mill Road, there's also quite a grade there and a lot of speeding. There's so much speeding that DDOT has placed a speed camera on and off at least since 2011. I think prior to that as well. I remember seeing it maybe in 2006 or so, I think. But anyhow, it's incredibly the crosswalks are incredibly unsafe due to the speed, also due to all the foliage, which reduces visibility, and finally the lack of decent signage, which hurts as well. So that's the fundamental issues or the primary issues right now are the crosswalks at Williamsburg and at 2501 Porter, because that's where folks are speeding the most. And I want to turn this over to Hannah, Madeline, and Tara if they'd like to speak at all about that intersection.
Yeah, so I was hit there in August, and the thing, like, I don't even use that crosswalk anymore since I got hit, which I mean, but I also think is generally just like unsafe. Like I don't really like my family or friends to use it either. There's very little visibility, I think, for drivers. There's people that are coming down like the hill. The nearest light is far up the hill, so you have like so much time to increase speed before you stop. And I also think people are probably still going to use it despite it not really being safe, because do you want to walk all the way up the hill to like cross then to go back down? It's like a problem. And then the only other crosswalk is the one right in front of 2501 Porter, which is equally unsafe. I just think they're really not good options right now for crossing the street.
And there's a bus stop right there that people need to get to.
Yeah, it's all around just kind of like a bad situation. And like, I mean, I was hurt pretty badly and I like don't want to see anybody else get hurt or like possibly die. I mean, I was pretty lucky.
Well, thank you for sharing that with us. I'm so sorry you were hit there. And I hope I know we talked a bit about possible solutions, and I think Hannah proposed a very good one that I think we're going to push forward with. I think we've got consensus on it, at least in our little email thread. But Hannah and Madeline, do you have anything you want to add to?
Yeah, I'm just going to go first. And we're two very close friends of Tara. We've been with her since her accident and many years before that. And I really hope nobody else has to go through getting that kind of phone call that one of their best friends has been hit, the degree of injury and recovery. We're extremely lucky to even be in the privilege of having this conversation tonight, given what happened. And I hope that I think the ideas that Hannah and Bo have come up with are really smart, but I hope that they're implemented with speed and efficiency. I understand that there's a reason for the ANC process and there's a lot of bureaucracy, but every day we wait on this and every day that there's not improvements is a day that, you know, it's someone's child or someone's grandparent or someone's best friend who they get the phone call that they're in the ambulance on the way to the hospital and facing months of recovery or worse.
I also just want to add that I drove that route this morning and there is decreased visibility because in part of it, you're turning on an angle and there are cars parked in front of the bus stop. There are also varying degrees of signage and shade that make this more dangerous in addition to the speed at which you go down the hill. So there's just a lot of factors that go into this street is not tenable for folks that need to cross, especially because the sidewalk actually ends on the other side and you have to cross or else you're crossing Beach Road essentially. So there is no better option that we can come up with than fixing this crosswalk.
I also think it's worth noting that I was hit in broad daylight at 1:30 in the afternoon, and like there was no weather conditions or anything. And so I can only imagine how bad it gets at night.
Yeah, the accident on April 24th, I believe, was also in broad daylight involving a cyclist and a car. I'm sure there have been other accidents there that we just haven't heard of. But yeah, the proposed solution, folks, that we're talking about is a raised crosswalk, sort of acting as a speed table with the requestable flashing lights to let drivers know. And so this will both bring attention and visibility to the pedestrian, and also the speed table will keep people from reaching the high speeds that they do on Porter. And ideally, we could do it at all three crosswalks, the one at 2732 Porter, 2501 Porter, and the one at Williamsburg. If we do that, it's going to be really uncomfortable for cars to speed because they're going to have to speed, brake, and I don't think anybody likes driving like a New York taxi driver. So I think that's like the big solution on that one. And I think that in terms of speed and efficiency, DDOT is not known for that. I believe, Hannah, you put in a transportation safety investigation request. I did as well. The one I put in was closed after 4 days with no action. So I went down to Williamsburg and Porter and spent some time recording cars going through the stop sign there. And, because that's the most obvious thing that people do wrong there. I don't have a speed camera. So I sent that to DDOT this evening. So hopefully that will get them working outside of what we're doing on the ANC. But I think next week at our regular meeting, we'll have a comprehensive resolution calling for these raised crosswalks with the requestable lights, and that will, I think, go a long way to making at least the crosswalks safer and making it safer for pedestrians. There's still some other issues with Williamsburg and Porter that I wanted to talk about tonight that we also will address at our full meeting this coming Monday rather. But Hannah, Madeline, Tara, did you have anything else you wanted to add about the crosswalk there? Or
No, the raised crosswalk like sounds excellent.
Yeah, I really hope DDOT will get behind that. Otherwise, maybe we just rent some construction equipment. Commissioner McWood, you've got your hand up.
Bo, I have a question. Have you considered a traffic light at one of those intersections?
No, I have not. So it's only one road that's the intersection, which is Williamsburg, but it's also where the traffic comes off of Rock Creek Park for westbound on Porter.
I was thinking of one of the crosswalks.
Oh, one of the crosswalks, sort of like
Yeah.
the one at the Uptown and Fat Pete's.
It could
Hawk
be.
signal.
It could be a hawk signal, or it could be a full traffic signal, depending on which would also allow you to potentially have a red light camera.
Yeah, I did not really think about it too much because I guess I've been cowed a bit by DDOT there. But that is a good idea, and I think we'll put that in the resolution too.
I mean, I'm just thinking, go for the most extreme mitigation and then work your way back.
That's a good idea. That's a really good idea. Thank you.
And what happened is absolutely terrible. So I think no extreme measure is really that extreme.
Yeah, I agree. Hannah and Madeline, you have your hands up?
Yeah, I'm pretty horrified that DDOT closed your request after 4 days, especially given what happened. And I'm wondering, does DDOT take public requests, and would we be able to call or contact them in any way? And would that help your case, or could that be problematic?
I think any contact of DDOT is good. I wish we had DDOT's Representative Christian on with us this evening. Contacting Councilmember Che also helps. She's chair of the Transportation Committee Council. So I think that would be very helpful. Commissioners Pagets and Siddiqui, you both have your hands up. Commissioner Pagets?
Yeah, so I recently had to request a number of measures be taken out in front of a school in my SMD. And the new portal that they have for these requests, I had to put in not just like a general traffic safety investigation request, and they also give you like the expected time frame of completion of when they're finally get around to this. But in addition to that, Christian recommended that I have to put in separate requests for several items that the school pointed out were like of troubling concern for school children. So I had to put in a request through this portal that anybody can submit to. By the way, you don't need an ANC commissioner's approval or support for anything you ask of them anymore. That was to streamline the process, but no resolution was also needed for the traffic safety investigation either. For the other issues, I had to request that they cut or prune the trees that were blocking the sign. So that went to the urban forestry team under tree pruning. The street markings fall under roadway stripping markings, which go to our field operations branch, and relocating the yellow signs can be done under the roadway signs option. Now they escalated this because it was a school safety thing. And the only thing that's been done, geez, when did I file this stuff? This was like a month and a half ago. I got a notification over the weekend that they are working on putting the signs in. So yay. But yes, this is very troubling. I'm very sorry about what happened to you. But yeah, it's incredibly frustrating. So the more, folks are flagging the same requests, like, and also emailing Councilmember Che, and even Christian is also a good one to CC to escalate some things. Yeah, sorry.
Chair Siddiqui, I don't think you have to raise your hand at the meeting you're chairing.
No. I just want to make sure that we go in line. Yeah, I just want to, and first, I'm sorry, Tara, like what happened to you. It's very unfortunate, and it's just horrible. It's horrific. And Hannah and Madeline, also thank you for coming here and supporting Tara and supporting your case. And I just want to clarify, like, our biggest block won't be the ANC in my mind. Like, I think we have 4 commissioners here and we all support like traffic, I think, traffic calming over here. Our biggest block will be DDOT. And I think our goal should be to figure out what's the best way to make sure that DDOT gets like the pressure. And as Commissioner Pagas pointed out, they are notoriously bad. They will say a traffic safety investigation takes 120 days, regardless if someone's gotten hit on there or not. So I think the more pressure we put, the great. I think Commissioner McWood's suggestion was really good. I would even, I mean, Commissioner Finley, this is your resolution, but I would even say maybe let's put both. Let's put a raised crosswalk and traffic lights in the resolution and ask for it all. And then depending on, and kind of like, how you, and I know this is being recorded, but DDOT is like a toddler. Like, how a toddler, you don't ask them to do something, you give them a choice. So, basically just give them a choice and say, okay, if you want to do this, then do this. If not, then do this. So, yeah, and I think a resolution is a good idea. I think emailing Councilmember Che is a good idea. Commissioner Finley, maybe even requesting a meeting with her. I don't know. I mean, I feel like if we want to expedite this and not take 120 days, it might mean that we have to do just a little bit more.
So one of the other options I think would be the light that's triggered by speeding, like the one in your SMD. That's why the one on Porter. I mean, yeah. That one's, it's not perfect, but it does get people to stop. So that's an idea moving forward. But I think we just have to tell DDOT, here are the options. Pick the one that makes the most sense, that is the safest thing for pedestrians here. And that might be the light, it might be the raised crosswalk, I'm not sure.
I'd be careful of that light that's triggered by speeding, because I have seen people speed up once they see that sign. I walk my dog in there because they're like, oh, I'm going to beat the traffic light. Like,
Okay.
So
I'm not sure DDOT uses that. That was the first time it had been used in the district when it was put on Porter. I don't know if they still use it, but in terms of trying to move DDOT a little quicker, one thing to think about would be, Tara, if you've got a network of people and your friends have a network of people, getting on Instagram or something, getting a petition going. You know, but obviously it's going to have a lot more influence with DDOT if it's people who live in the neighborhood or people who travel on Porter Street, particularly though pedestrians, because that's the big issue here, is that it's unsafe for pedestrians. So anybody in the apartment buildings there on Porter Street, if could get a petition going in those buildings asking for this sort of safety measure, I think that would help with DDOT.
So the next issue I wanted to bring up was the bike lane entrance at 2501 Porter. I've seen cars drive up it, which I contacted DDOT about this, and their concern is that the lane needs to be wide enough for street sweeping, because we all know how much street sweeping actually occurs on Porter, and for snow plows. So putting bollards up might not be doable right away there. I'm going to push back a bit more. The other thing that came up as a possible solution from some folks who live on Williamsburg Lane was rumble strips there, to let drivers know, hey, you're in a place you shouldn't be. Time to get back on the road, buddy. And so that's something I think can be addressed. I talked about the stop sign running. I pasted a link in the chat that is, it's basically 10 minutes of cars running the stop sign at Williamsburg and Porter, condensed to 4 minutes and 45 seconds or so. It's not the most exciting watch. Let's see that. And so I've sent that to DDOT and asked them what they're going to do about it. Obviously, the intersection there at Williamsburg and Porter, you've got 3 lanes of Porter, all westbound. One is the ramp coming off of Rock Creek Parkway. One is from the residences on sort of the Porter spur that goes kind of into the park, and the other is Porter as it comes down from Mount Pleasant. So trying to figure out how to manage all that. I think what will end up happening, if they're willing to revisit that intersection, is to take the spur and have it join the ramp prior to the stop sign. So then everybody comes to that stop sign. Then that doesn't keep people from running the stop sign. That's still another issue that has to be resolved. And possibly placing a no left turn for eastbound, prohibiting traffic from making that left turn from the Rock Creek Parkway ramp to go eastbound on Connecticut, or on to Porter, sorry. They're supposed to go under Porter and then wrap around and merge properly. And so maybe a no left turn can prevent that. It's not too difficult to go up to 2501 Porter and turn around the driveway. So that is all I have on that mess of an intersection. If anybody has anything to add, please do. So yeah, commissioners, folks who have taken time out to attend this evening.
Yeah, I mean, I would strongly encourage Tara and friends to send an email directly to Mary Che, CC her chief of staff D,
and CC me on it too, because
yeah,
I can present all the 311 requests that have gone in on this,
and put interim director Lott on there too, because that's actually I got another investigation or safety, whatever it's called, escalated really quickly because the resident, I put it in front of them, and Councilmember Che ordered Director Lott to take care of it immediately. And her doing it makes things happen a little, well, in theory, a little bit faster and directly than us having to go through an ANC resolution process and all of that stuff. Because she can just ask for it directly to the director. So my issue with I'm over by the zoo over here, and the resident wrote a very compelling, I'm really troubled that somebody's stroller with their baby is going to get hit by a car. This is horrifying. So yeah.
And I would make it like Commissioner Fagan said, make it a personal email, and you should feel free to mention that you've already presented it to the ANC committee. And so that is forthcoming, but you need them to act right now as well. Go ahead, Tara.
Oh, I guess I'm kind of new to all this. So are these emails publicly available? Like, could I get them on the website?
Yes, and Swally just pasted them in the chat.
Awesome, thank you.
You're welcome. And you can reach out to any of us and we can help you also figure out. Actually, I'll put Everett Lott's email in there too.
He's the interim director of DDOT.
And throw Christians in there too.
I mean, I feel like if we email Christian, if Christian is CC'd on there, then no one's going to answer. Everyone's going to be like, Christian can deal with this. So
Tara, I'll just email you all these addresses on that thread we've got going.
Awesome, thank you.
It makes it easier. And Hannah and Madeline, I'll include you too. Great. I see there's some folks from Williamsburg and Porter as well on who I want to say thanks to everybody on this call who emailed and called, has spoken to me the past couple days and past couple weeks about this intersection, about ways to improve Porter Street. I think if DDOT will take action, we're going to have a much safer place for all of us. So thanks. Commissioner
Finley, I do have a question for you.
Certainly.
So I mean, this is obviously, like you said, a mess of an intersection, right? Do you have in mind like what kind of strategy you want to follow? Like, it seems that the immediate need, not the immediate, but like the immediate, need and the immediate thing is the crosswalks, right? But then there's also all these other issues. And yes, like traffic is a systems problem. It's not like you solve one thing and then everything's solved. You need to solve all these things. So in your mind, what's the best strategy? Do you think we should all push for like just getting the crosswalks and the traffic first and then sort of talking about these other issues? Or like if we send too many issues at once, then, you know, that can be good or bad or might get lost too.
So the bike lane issue seems to be the good folks on the bike side of stuff at DDOT are really on their game, and they seem to be jumping to get that done, which is great. So the crosswalks obviously is the priority. The stop sign running, that's more of an enforcement issue unless we go with something like a traffic light there. But I think this one resolution detailing sort of the issues and pointing out sort of the main things we want, and then supporting it. And I emailed with Hannah about this earlier about having sort of a problem statement attached that details what all the issues are, because you know the whereases and the be it therefore resolves are not always really read in great depth by DDOT, but having something with data such as like the 7% grade over 2,000 feet, that sort of thing might be really helpful to them to really get an understanding if they're not willing to just come out and look at how bad that intersection is and how bad Porter is.
Sounds good. Thank you. Happy to help.
Thank you.
Thank you all.
Thank you all.
Thanks so much.
Great. So Commissioner Siddiqui, or Chair Siddiqui, is there anything else on the agenda for us?
There are things on the agenda. I just want to make sure that there's no other comments from other commissioners or other community members here. Okay, and then wonderful. And I've captured some next steps in the minutes, and I've captured some stuff in the minutes as well. Commissioner Finley, please feel free to comment on those or add to those as needed.
Will do. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, everyone. All right, next on the agenda is a streetscape update. And we have Cassandra here. Cassandra, did you want to give us a streetscape update?
I would love to give you a streetscape update. Thank you very much. So DDOT has made it out of procurement with Streetscape. They're waiting for a notice to proceed. As soon as they get that, they're going to give the community 3 weeks heads up, a meeting, and then they're going to proceed. I have asked that they try not to schedule it right around Christmas, as people will likely be unavailable to attend. And I was told they will kind of sort of try, but not really. So that is my update. So as soon as we get all that, it looks like it's going to be starting pretty quickly next year. So that's my update. The end.
Thank you, Cassandra. Any comments or thoughts or any additional information from commissioners, other than pure hate? But And I guess one question, commissioners. DDOT, oh, sorry, go ahead, Mike.
Well, hi, thanks. I mean, you may be asking the same question. Have they presented to the community kind of a final design? I know that we saw a design a long time ago, and I'm sure that that design has been through several iterations since then, and I don't know that they have presented any sort of final design guidance to the community yet.
I'll help answer that, because we had them at a meeting at some point and told them that they needed to post stuff to the project websites, because the way that I found it was going into the portal that is all public for the solicitation for the contractor bid, right? So I knew the materials existed and I was like, what are you doing? But it was never presented back to us, unfortunately. But I do believe there's like 3 different project websites for this project, and it's very confusing because of that. So we can do one of you guys have the link to the right one? Hold on. I guess I can Google.
Let me find it in the.
I thought we might have discussed this.
Yeah, I'm
in one
scrolling
of
through our
the
minutes.
meetings.
I just posted it. I posted it, and
Oh, thank you, Cassandra.
where is the what they sent me?
There's this on the website.
This is, can you open that file I posted? The PDF?
No, because I think just the file
Uh,
location got posted.
I'm not super techie. Hold
If you
on.
can email it to me, I can get it from my email and open it. Or you can also share your screen, whichever one you prefer.
I'll email it just because it's going to take me a minute. Hold on.
Sure. So yeah, Mike, the answer is that we've been asking them to be very clear on what it is, and we've been asking, and sometimes they say stuff like, oh yeah, it is decided and this is it, and like it's there. Other times they're like, yeah, let us find the presentation. And so yeah, I'm not completely clear either. I think, commissioners, I might be wrong here, but it's pretty much decided, right? Like at least what the
Definitely
Yes.
decided. It's decided.
Yes, definitely.
Like,
I mean,
it's-
we were given presentations at,
Yeah.
I think, 30% design, and then again at 60 or 70% design. I don't recall whether we were given design at 100%, but it hasn't really changed over a fairly long period of time.
Mhm.
Yeah, I
I'm gonna
remember
bring up-
just like quite early in the process, and I feel like this was,
Yeah.
I mean, literally like 3 or 4 years ago. There was a community meeting that DDOT facilitated with, one of those like giant rollout, schematic things. It was like very vivid in terms of its design, and they got a lot of feedback. And I think that, I'm sorry, I should say I'm representing CPCA. We've gotten feedback.
Oh no.
Oh,
As soon as
no.
you said CPCA, everything went out.
Yeah.
Technical issues. We've gotten feedback from people that they had expected that DDOT was going to come back and do a similar sort of community inclusive design presentation and more of that kind of hands-on consultation. So anyway,
Well, yeah.
if there is a desire to do that sort of thing between now and when they start work, CPCA would be happy to help host such an event.
I mean, Bo and I only found out that the construction was out to bid because we were on a pre-call with Washington Gas and Pepco was explaining what they were doing in the service lane. They're like, we have to go through and raise all the manholes so that DDOT can come in and do this other bit. And we're like, wait, what? That was decided. So yeah. It's not very great communication.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, and again, my impression is I don't think we're going to have too much more chance of any major input. I think they've made up their mind, and we can push back on things, push on things and things like that. But I'm not sure. And they're not clear. They surprise us all the time. So
Yeah, and I'm not suggesting that they should do another round of kind of community input, but I think it would be nice, just as a gesture, if nothing else, to have them come out and say, do an event that we all kind of host, where, I mean, even if it's virtually, just to say, hey, this is what the plan is, this is the final design, here's what to expect.
And you will find updates on our website that we
Right.
promise to
Yeah.
maintain in the future, since we've been doing a very bad job of it.
So
In the
that was going to be my question to the commissioners. And sorry, Commissioner McWood, were you going to say something? Please go ahead.
I was just going to say, Cassandra, I thought I heard you say that DDOT was going to come back to the community once the contract had been let.
Yep, they are. They have identified the subcontractor, they're out of procurement, and they're gonna have a community meeting 3 weeks prior to when they actually start ripping things up. I'm concerned that it's gonna happen right around Christmas. And I've asked that they try to hold off, and they're not going to hold off. So, I mean, I'm gonna be out of town. I don't know how many other people are gonna be out of town, but
my understanding is the agenda for that meeting is to talk about the process that's going to, and how the project is going to be scheduled with what they're tearing up when, and like that kind of sequence. It's not to comment on the design.
no, the design is done. I will say that if you want input, they're still in the design phase for the drainage portion of that, which will start in about the next 1.5 to 2 years. So, but I don't know if that's if it matters as much, because it's not gonna.
What does design mean in terms of drainage? What color the pipes are?
Where they go,
Yeah, well,
locations.
I think that's already been determined, hasn't it? Because I know they want to connect to that Porter outflow pipe.
Well, when you go to the drainage, I mean, DDOT has said they're in the design phase. And when you go to the drainage portion website, there's a whole, like Janelle said, I didn't even know about this third website. I only know about 2 sites. There's one for drainage and one for the Streetscape. So I will say that from my brief little interaction working with them, they're not organized.
Well, the drainage one is actually, I was on an update call that I think they gave to us. Like, I remember Commissioner McWood was like, why are you giving us like 1 day notice to like do this project update? Like, thanks, but no thanks. But I was actually able to listen in on that. And that has like a number of different agencies that like they have to work with, including like Park Service, because where they're trying to get the water to flow to is hitting different jurisdictions that DC isn't necessarily the authority having jurisdiction over, and environmental concerns and all of that stuff. So that's why that's not as in line with what they're doing with the Streetscape.
So
We could write it. Go ahead.
No, please go ahead, Commissioner.
We could write a letter to DDOT, to the Director Lott, proactively saying that we understand that they are getting close to starting the project, and that and that prior to that they will be coming out to the community, and we would appreciate it if they would schedule that after the holidays, and that they begin that meeting with a brief presentation of what the proposal is, because it's been, I think, as someone said, years since we last had a presentation. There are new people in the neighborhood, and many of us as many meetings as we went to. We don't remember all the details, but just ask them that that's our expectation. That's what we want.
Yeah, I think that would be great. I mean, I think a design presentation just to say, hey, we really are going to do this. Here's what to expect, both from a design standpoint and then obviously
this is what you're going to get after
this
all
is what
this
you're going to get,
history.
right? Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I think it would be really nice and really well received. So and again, we'd be happy to help facilitate that or host that or whatever.
I think that sending a letter would be great, Nancy, and I think having CPCA, the ANC, Cleveland Park Main Street, I think having everybody on that to show a unified force, I think maybe could get a little more traction than just one of us sending it individually. So who
And
has?
it should be copied to Councilmember Jay.
Yes. Who has free time and wants to do that? I won't be able to do it until after the holidays, but if you need to do that before.
I mean, I feel like it's a short and clear email, right? Like there's not that much, and we can put it on a formal letterhead if we want to. But Mike, do you think you could get CPCA sign off if we drafted something?
Oh yeah, for sure. Definitely. Yeah.
Okay. And Cassandra's here, so she'll say yes to Main Street. Okay. Yeah, even a short email takes some writing. Who wants to write it?
I'll be happy to do it.
Thank you, Commissioner McWood. I was gonna ask you anyway since you suggested it.
Careful what you ask for, huh?
Yeah, good suggestions never go unrewarded. Thank you. And yeah, you can send it around. We can help. I mean, it's not going to be that much, but I agree with that. I mean, I think that would be really good. Cool. And actually, that answers my question that I was going to ask. Is like, I never want us to do DDOT's work. It's DDOT's responsibility to do community outreach, and so I don't want them to be like, hey, come to the ANC. But I mean, I think this letter is a good way for us to do something. And I want them to have a separate meeting. I personally don't want them to use our ANC meeting for this because that's what they want to do. They're like, oh, use the ANC meeting. It's like never works. Like we have other things we have to talk about. So, but I think depending on how it goes, I wouldn't be opposed to like all the groups then individually kind of engaging them after that, right? Like even the ANC kind of being like, hey, we have these questions. And then, even Mike, if CPCA wanted to do something and stuff like that. Again, not trying to hold up the process, but just making sure that they actually expedite it rather than hold it up.
And I think it's good from a governance standpoint too, just for them to level set before the project, and then we can all hold them accountable.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Well, that, and you think it would be common sense for them to go and tell the community what they're getting at the end of it before they tear up the community. So like, I don't know, but here we are again.
Also, Cassandra, thank you for sending through. Cassandra means 3 presentations, of which I think one of them I've never seen before, but the other 2 I feel like I've seen floating around. I will link them in our minutes. Do you want me to forward them to you all as well? Sure, I'll forward them to the commissioners here.
It might be a good idea for us to throw those up on our website too.
Yeah, it's such a good idea.
Yeah, we can do that.
Yeah.
Download them, host them ourselves as on one page. I'll work with Rachel on that.
Yes, we come across public records. Just keep our own site linking to their disasters.
So I love the idea of having a whole separate place for that information. My concern about duplicating efforts is I don't know. I just feel like we should be more of a one force, because I know you said that it's DDOT's job to call these meetings and things, but all the advice I have gotten from everyone who's worked with them before is that we need to manage them, because so far in the 4 months I've been here, I will say they have been extraordinarily unorganized. They have sent Pepco out without gradation plan, elevation, whatever they're called. They sent them out to rip up that service lane with no plans. They wanted Pepco to just leave the manholes, up elevated for people to trip over. I mean, it's just been, I don't know. I think having us be aggressive is not a bad thing to be. So.
Yep, that's what we're saying. That's why we're forcing them to have their meeting, and do this. And I think that we're not duplicating effort. Like I feel like we link to their websites that we know. and then we just add the presentations that aren't on there and ask them to please add these on as well. So I
And
totally agree.
maybe tell them we've linked so that they will update them.
Yep.
Okay, thank you.
No, I agree. I agree. I mean, I think this is, yeah, and you know, I mean, you all have experience with DDOT more than I do, so it's my little experience has just been painful. So
It's going to be a long 2 years. So, okay, thank you.
thank you, Cassandra. Cool. Other thoughts? And so thank you, Commissioner McWood, for drafting the email. Commissioner Finley, I will forward you and the other commissioners on this call the documents that Cassandra sent us, and I think you volunteered to get those on our website. And then yeah, and I'll also link to them in the minutes for this meeting. Any other comments on Streetscape? Wonderful. So going through the agenda, sorry, let me scroll back up. I just want to let everyone know that there's 3 community members that I will be nominating to be on this committee at our next ANC meeting. And I'll just make a motion to nominate them. I will be sending bios around to commissioners so commissioners can read their bios. And I believe at least all 3 of them said that they will try to make the meeting. My anticipation is that 2 of the 3 will at least be there, so they can also introduce themselves at the meeting on Monday and also talk a little bit about it. One of them is, so it's Tammy Gordon, Warren Gorelick, and Naiwa Dwan, the person who proposed the bus ETA. They're from Commissioner, I believe Tammy is Commissioner Finley's SMD, Warren is Commissioner Gersten's SMD, and Naiwa is Commissioner Lee Brian Reba's SMD. And of course, commissioners, if you have other people that'll be good for this, I have been trying to get a broad representation. I've asked some people, they have said no, but if you can convince people to join the committee, I mean, I think the end goal, again, committee doesn't make any decisions, but the more people we have working on issues, the easier it is to try and work on them and get them resolved. So. And then the last item on the agenda I had was planning on having these meetings second Wednesday of every month except August. I think that doesn't conflict with some of our other meetings. So it doesn't conflict with our main meeting as well as P&Z. So it gives a little bit of time between meetings, just making sure if everyone's okay with that. And I'm not certain if we will meet every month, but we will try. I don't have anything else official on the agenda. Is there anything else anyone wants to add? Commissioners, community members?
Oh, Commissioner Siddiqui, real quick. I think in your district, the left turn sign on Porter on the ground is faded and causing some chaos.
Really?
I think so. It was too cold and damp for me to go outside today to double check, but.
Really? Okay, I will go and check that.
Pick that up in your survey of the rest of the neighborhood.
Yeah, Commissioner Finley's been all over the place recording everything. So
Yeah.
recording all the traffic problems. Okay, I thank you, Commissioner Finley, for letting me know about that. I will go take a look and find out about that left turn sign. Other questions? And fair warning, commissioners, I have gotten at least 2 requests for how do we install speed humps. One of them is in Commissioner Gersten's SMD. Another one is in my SMD. So yeah, like I think we'll be looking at some speed hump resolutions coming up, but those likely won't happen until January. So Commissioner Finley, I think for you getting this one through is probably priority. And so we should definitely get that one through this next meeting.
Yeah, I heard about the one that's near me. So.
Yep, Cortland Place.
Well,
Yep.
wearing my private citizen hat, I'm a strong endorser of speed humps and grateful for the work that you all did to get them installed on Rodman, because it has made a huge difference. So much appreciated.
And you all were very organized. You all already did, and then that's what I'm telling everyone. I'm like, if you all are organized, you can get this done. So if it makes our lives so much easier if they're already like signatures and petitions and all that stuff set up. So thank you. All right. if no one else has anything else, thank you all for joining. The minutes, I will send out the minutes, I will send out the attachments, but appreciate everyone joining, and until January, when we have our next Transportation Committee meeting.
Cool.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.
Thanks all. Have a
Bye-bye.
great one. Bye.